Alright everyone, so this is our second video, maybe our third, but this is our second basic hand building technique, and that technique is working with coils. And what are coils? Are pieces of clay rolled out into these little rope-like or snake-like pieces. So for that purpose, for today's project, I have a banding wheel, which is a little wheel that I'm going to build my piece on. Okay, it's a little cheap little thing. You can check these out from the tool crib. I'll put that aside for the moment. I have a paddle, like to paddle my clay, but you don't have to have one of those. You can also use a wooden spoon from your kitchen. I have a serrated rib for roughing up the clay, but you can also use a fork if you want. I have a pin tool for cutting the clay up, or again, you can use a knife from your kitchen. So I always want to show you, you can use things you have on hand. You don't always have to run to the art store or to Columbia to pick up tools or supplies. Okay, now I have a piece of clay. I wedged it up, and wedging again just to show you that, pushing the clay away from me like this with my hands on the side. Now this clay is fresh out of the bag. It's new from the factory, which means it doesn't have any air bubbles in it. So I'm wedging it more just to make the clay more plastic. It makes it softer and easier to work with, like that. Hands on the side, push it away from you at a 45-degree angle, like that. The other thing I have here is a wear board. It's a board covered with canvas, and again, if you work with clay on a smooth surface, your clay will stick to the smooth surface. You want to put down ideally a heavy piece of canvas or some type of cloth or wood or plasterboard. Those things will work too. Take my piece of clay, I'm going to break a piece off. This will be the base of my piece. I'm going to make a coil vessel. Let me show you how I start that. Take my piece of clay, I'm going to pat it into a ball, like so. I'm then going to flatten it out to a little pancake. This will be the base of my coil vessel or pot, like so. And all these techniques are designed so you don't make thick, heavy pieces. You don't want to make things thicker than your thumb. That's about 3/4 of an inch. And so pinch pots, coils, and slabs are for that purpose. Pat this on my banding wheel, like so. So it's about 1/2 inch thick. Now if I want this to be nice and round, I can take it and I'm going to turn it, holding my hand steady. I can do this so I can make a nice round shape. The other idea would be to grab something that's round, you know, like the lid off a jar, put it on there, use it as a template and trace around it. Alright, so I'm now going to cut the excess off so I have a nice round shape. Your coil vessel can be any shape you want it to be. I want it to be made of coils though, because you need to practice making coils just to see how that works. You may decide you don't like coils, but at least you're going to try it. Learn one of the basic techniques. There we go. Now I'm going to take a piece of clay and I'm going to make a coil. So there's the base of my piece, about 1/2 inch thick. I'll put that aside. I'll take a little piece of clay and I'm just going to roll it on the wear board like this. Some people like to roll them in their hands like this. So there's another possibility like that. That takes some more practice, I think. You know, I've seen people make them like that, and that works well. But I like rolling it on the table. Now I'm applying some pressure. Now as I roll it, I'm not doing this. I see a lot of people do this, and then you end up with this little lumpy, bumpy shape. But if you roll it all the way around, all the way from the heel of your hand to the tip of your finger, you get a nice round coil like that. All right, there we go. Takes a little practice. Everything with clay takes a little practice. But you know, I think I said this before in my first video. If you want to be good at something, practice it, do it. And there you go. There's a nice round coil, about 1/2 inch thick. Now I'll come back here with my base, my pot. I'm then going to score and slit this. I could use my serrated rib. I could use my fork. Again, I'm showing you these things so you can use things from your kitchen. So scoring it means I'm roughing up the surface, also dipping my fork in water. I'm adding water to the surface, so therefore as I rough it up, I'm also creating slip, or a real kind of sticky surface on here. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to do the same with my coil. I'm going to put some slip or water on there with my fork on one edge, like so. There we go. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pinch it on here. I'm going to stick it on like this. See, there's the virtue of the banding wheel. You can turn your piece as you work on it. Now, as I overlap my coil there, I'm then going to cut it. So, like this. There we go. Score and slip the ends. You can also use your pin tool if you have one of those. If you got the kit, which you can check out from the tool crib on the 10th floor where our classroom is in the Wabash building. Alright, there's my first layer. So I want you to make a piece that's going to be approximately 10 inches in height. This will be on the assignment page on Canvas and in the syllabus, but on the assignment page most definitely. So there we go. I'm already 3/4 of an inch. Then, again, I'm just using water. I'm not using slip, and slip is basically clay and water, about 50-50% of each. And I usually use slip, but here I want to use water to show you you don't have to have slip, but you can make your own as you're putting on the surface there. I've got some additional coils here. I'll score and slip them. The other thing I want your piece to have is handles, 2 handles, a rim, and a foot. Alright, there we go, and then I'll put this piece on there. See, and I just keep building it up. It's just repetitive over and over again until I get a piece that's 10 inches in height. So I'm just going to break that off. I'm going to get lazy there. Break it off, mash it in there. If your clay is nice and wet, you don't have to score and slip everything, but it's helpful. Okay. Now if I want to smooth this out, if it's getting too big as I'm working on it, I can take my wooden spoon and paddle it in. Like sometimes a piece will have a tendency to come out like that as you're handling it. Well, that's the virtue of having a little something like this, or even a ruler, which I just happen to have here, right? And paddle it in, compress the clay, and make it smaller. If I want to smooth things out, I can get the stick, like one of these that's in the tool kit that I showed you in our first video, or that you can check out, and I can smooth it out. And that's up to you if you want to smooth it out or not. I like to smooth my pieces out. I'm going to show you some examples later on. Alright? And if you want your piece to be bigger, work on the inside like this, push it out from the inside. That'll make it come out. If you want to make it smaller, paddle it in. Or as you put each additional coil on here, put that coil on the inside edge. And as you put it on there, now I didn't score and slip it, I'm just showing you that. Now there's a couple variations I'm going to show you, okay, with coils. So a couple variations are this. I'm going to take 3 coils. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to spray them down with some water. Spray a bottle, it's nice and handy. Rather than putting slip on them, and I'm just going to twist them together like this and make a mega coil or a bigger coil made out of twisted coils like that. That's kind of cool. Just a little variation on your technique there. You can use that to make a rim or a foot on your piece or a handle, or you can just add it to the piece you're working on like this to add some kind of interesting surface treatment on your piece, right? I'll score. Again, I'm not scoring and slipping, but I should be if I'm going to save it. So yeah, that kind of finishes off the top. It's a nice little rim. Now the other idea with another variation on coils is making a single coil, or taking a single coil like this, and then spraying some water on it again, or take your finger in the water and do this, and then coiling that up like this and constructing these little shapes. I like to tap them into little squares then, or rectangles. Right? And then I'll add them to my piece. I'll score and slip them onto here, like so, and did a whole row of these then. Do a bunch of these, and then do a whole row on top of that. you know. So you can see there's variations on it. Again, I want you to make a pot that's 12. So that's it. I'm going to cut this off, and then I'm going to start another little video that shows you some examples.